Ladies and gentlemen, imagine you are carrying a jug full of water, and everywhere you go, people keep asking for a drink. At first, you give freely because you have plenty, but soon you realize the jug is getting lighter. You look around. Some people genuinely needed it, but others wasted it. You keep giving until one day the jug is empty. And now, when you need water, there's none left, not even for yourself. Kindness is often seen as an unlimited virtue, something we must offer to everyone, regardless of how they treat us. From childhood, we are taught to be kind to all, to turn the other cheek, to always give without expecting anything in return. While kindness is indeed a powerful force, many people misunderstand its true purpose. They assume that being kind means never setting boundaries, never saying no, and never protecting themselves from harm. This misconception leads to a dangerous reality where kindness is not a strength but a weakness that others exploit. Think about your own life. How many times have you helped someone who never appreciated it? How often have you sacrificed your time, energy, or resources for people who never valued your effort? If we are not careful, kindness can become a burden rather than a blessing. The world is filled with people who will take advantage of good-hearted individuals, draining them emotionally, financially, and even spiritually. If we do not understand that kindness must be controlled and directed wisely, we will end up exhausted, frustrated, and feeling unappreciated. Many people believe that being kind to everyone, regardless of circumstances, is the highest form of morality. But even the most powerful and wise figures in history knew when to withhold kindness. They understood that kindness is not about making others happy at the expense of your well-being. Instead, it is about using discernment to ensure that your kindness is placed where it can bear fruit. If you continue to be kind to those who disrespect you, who abuse your generosity, or who see you as a resource rather than a person, you are not practicing wisdom. You are allowing yourself to be misused. Some people mistake kindness for unlimited tolerance. They assume that being good means allowing others to walk over you, to mistreat you, or to take advantage of your generosity. But true kindness is not blind. It does not ignore patterns of abuse, deception, or manipulation. It recognizes when a person is not deserving of what you have to offer. Just as a wise farmer does not waste good seeds on bad soil, you should not waste your kindness on people who do not value it. There is a difference between kindness and people-pleasing. Many people act kindly not because they truly want to help, but because they fear rejection, conflict, or disapproval. They say yes when they should say no. They keep giving even when they are empty. They believe that if they stop being kind to someone, they are being cruel. But the truth is, failing to set boundaries is not kindness, it is self-neglect. The greatest act of kindness you can give is to be kind to yourself first. Protect your energy. Be selective with who you pour into. Recognize when kindness is being taken for granted. And most importantly, understand that kindness is not about making everyone happy. It is about making the right impact in the right places for the right people. Kindness without discernment is like giving a key to your house to every stranger who knocks on your door. You may think you are being generous and welcoming, but in reality, you are putting yourself at risk. Not everyone who comes into your life has good intentions, and not everyone who receives your kindness will appreciate or respect it. This is why discernment is essential. It is the ability to see beyond words and actions, to recognize true character, and to understand who is worthy of your time, energy, and kindness. Discernment is not about being judgmental or cold-hearted. It is about being wise. If you give without thinking, you will find yourself constantly drained, constantly taken advantage of, and constantly wondering why people mistreat you. The truth is, people do not always value what is freely given. When kindness is handed out without discretion, it often becomes cheap in the eyes of those who receive it. They begin to see you as a source to exploit rather than a person to respect. Many people make the mistake of thinking that being kind means never saying no, never walking away, and always giving another chance. But discernment teaches us that not everyone deserves repeated chances. Some people take kindness as a weakness and use it as an opportunity to manipulate and control. They know that you have a good heart, and they count on your inability to set boundaries. They will keep taking as long as you keep giving. And when you finally decide to stop, they will make you feel guilty for doing so. Look at the relationships in your life. Are there people who only come to you when they need something? Are there people who never reciprocate, never appreciate, and never respect your kindness? If so, it is time to start using discernment. It is time to recognize that some people are only in your life for their own benefit. No matter how much you give, They will never change, never be grateful, and never stop taking. Your kindness will not fix them. Your love will not transform them. Your patience will not make them different. The only thing that will happen is that you will continue to feel used and exhausted. Discernment allows you to see beyond what people say and focus on what they do. It helps you distinguish between those who genuinely need your kindness and those who are simply taking advantage of it. It teaches you that saying no is not cruel, that walking away is not selfish, and that protecting your energy is not unkind. True wisdom is knowing when to give and when to withhold, when to help and when to step back, when to be available and when to disappear. If you want to live a life of purpose and peace, you must stop giving kindness to everyone without thought. Start paying attention. Start recognizing patterns. Start understanding that discernment is not just a skill, it is a necessity. Because without it, kindness will not be your strength, it will be your downfall. Giving is a noble act. It is an expression of love, compassion, and selflessness. But when giving becomes excessive, when it is done without limits or wisdom, it transforms from a virtue into a burden. Overgiving is one of the fastest ways to drain yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, and even spiritually. It is the silent destroyer of inner peace, the unseen force that leads to exhaustion, resentment, and even a loss of identity. Many people who overgive do not realize they are doing it. They believe they are simply being kind, helpful, or loving. They say yes when asked for help. They sacrifice their own needs for others. And they constantly pour into people, thinking it is their responsibility to keep everyone happy. But the problem with this mindset is that it assumes giving has no cost. The truth is, every act of giving requires something from you. Whether it is your time, your energy, your resources, or your emotional strength, giving takes something out of you. If you do not replenish what you give, you will eventually run on empty. There comes a point where giving too much stops being an act of love and becomes an act of self-neglect. You begin to feel tired all the time. You start to notice that no one gives back to you in the way you give to them. You feel unappreciated, undervalued, and sometimes even invisible. Over time, this leads to deep frustration, resentment, and emotional burnout. You may start asking yourself, why does no one care for me the way I care for them? Why do people take me for granted? The harsh reality is that when you give too much, people begin to expect it. They stop seeing it as kindness and start seeing it as an obligation. Another danger of overgiving is that it attracts the wrong people into your life. Takers are drawn to givers. They can sense when someone has no boundaries and they take full advantage of it. The more you give, the more they demand. They do not care about your well-being. They only care about what they can get from you. And the sad truth is, they will never be satisfied. No matter how much you give, it will never be enough. They will always want more. At some point, you must ask yourself, who is taking care of me while I am taking care of everyone else? The answer in many cases is no one. And that is why you must stop overgiving. You must recognize that your well-being matters just as much as the well-being of others. You cannot keep pouring from an empty cup. You cannot keep giving to people who do not appreciate it. You cannot sacrifice yourself for the sake of people who would not do the same for you. Giving should come from a place of abundance, not exhaustion. It should be intentional, not forced. It should be done with wisdom, not guilt. You are never meant to save everyone. Learn to give without losing yourself, and you will find that your kindness will have more impact, more power, and more meaning than ever before. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you have. It determines how much you can give, how much you can achieve, and how much peace you can maintain in your life. Yet, many people waste their energy on individuals who do not value it, do not appreciate it, and do not deserve it. The truth is, not everyone should have access to you. Not everyone is entitled to your time, your attention, or your kindness. If you are not careful about where you invest your energy, you will find yourself drained, frustrated, and constantly feeling unfulfilled. Think about the people in your life right now. How many of them truly uplift you, support you, and encourage your growth? And how many of them only come to you when they need something, drain you with their negativity, or take advantage of your kindness? The reality is that some people are simply energy thieves. They take and take, never giving anything in return. They come to you with their problems, but never listen when you need support. They expect you to always be available, yet they disappear the moment you need help. These are the people who do not deserve your energy. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that they owe their energy to everyone. They feel guilty for not answering every call, not attending every event, or not always being there when someone demands their attention. But the truth is, you have the right to protect your energy. You have the right to say no, without explaining yourself. You have the right to distance yourself from people who drain you. There's nothing wrong with setting boundaries, and in fact, it is necessary for your well-being. Some people will never change, no matter how much energy you give them. You could spend hours trying to help them, encourage them, and support them, but if they do not want to grow, your energy is being wasted. You cannot force someone to change. You cannot make someone value you, and you cannot continue pouring into people who refuse to take responsibility for their own lives. Energy should be invested in people who are willing to invest in themselves. Your energy should go towards people and things that bring you peace, growth, and fulfillment. When you start protecting your energy, you will notice a shift in your life. You will feel lighter, more focused, and more at peace. You will stop feeling obligated to give to people who do not appreciate it, and you will start surrounding yourself with those who truly respect and value your presence. If you are constantly exhausted, constantly frustrated, and constantly feeling used, it is time to evaluate where your energy is going. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone should be allowed to drain you. Choose wisely who you give your energy to, because once it is gone, you cannot get it back. Protect it, guard it, and use it for what truly matters. One of the greatest misconceptions people have is that kindness means unlimited access, that love means tolerating everything, and that generosity means never saying no. However, even God himself, the highest example of love and compassion, operates with boundaries. He does not pour his blessings on those who reject him. He does not force his presence on those who do not seek him. He does not reward disobedience. If God, in his infinite wisdom, sets boundaries, then why do so many people feel guilty for doing the same? Many believe that being a good person means always being available, always giving, and always forgiving without conditions. While forgiveness is important, wisdom is equally necessary. God does not tolerate rebellion. He does not reward those who consistently disrespect his principles. Instead, he allows people to face the consequences of their choices. This is not cruelty, it is justice. It is wisdom. And if we are made in his image, then we too must learn to apply discernment in how we extend our kindness. Consider how God answers prayers. He does not give everything we ask for, even when we believe we need it. Why? Because he knows what is best for us. He understands that some things will harm us instead of helping us. In the same way, we must learn that not every request, every demand, or every plea for help deserves a yes. Saying no does not mean you are unkind or unloving. It means you are wise enough to recognize when something is not right. Throughout history, God has shown that he does not tolerate those who consistently dishonor him. He removes his presence from places where he is not welcomed. He gives chances, but he does not force himself upon anyone. This is a powerful lesson. Love and kindness should never be forced, and they should never be given without wisdom. There is a difference between being merciful and being used. There is a difference between being kind and being taken for granted. There is a difference between being kind and being taken for granted. God extends grace, but he also expects responsibility. If God himself walks away from those who refuse to change, why do we feel obligated to hold on to toxic people? Why do we continue to pour into relationships that only drain us? Why do we keep giving chances to those who repeatedly show they do not value us? The answer often lies in guilt, fear, and a misunderstanding of what true love is. But true love, God's love, includes correction. It includes boundaries. It includes knowing when to step back. You were never meant to carry people who refuse to walk on their own. You were never meant to save those who do not want to be saved, and you were never meant to waste your kindness on those who do not respect it. If God sets boundaries, so should you. If he withdraws from those who reject him, so should you from those who drain you. Love wisely, give intentionally, and never feel guilty for protecting your peace. Your heart is one of the most precious things you possess. It holds your love, your kindness, your compassion, and your ability to care for others. But if you are not careful, it can also become the most wounded part of you. Too many people go through life giving their heart away to those who do not deserve it, offering their love and kindness without limits, and ending up broken, exhausted, and unappreciated. The truth is, you must be a wise steward of your heart. You must protect it, guard it, and ensure that it's being given to the right people at the right time for the right reasons. Many people mistake being open-hearted for being careless. They think that if they love enough, give enough, or sacrifice enough, people will appreciate them, change for the better, or finally reciprocate the same energy. But experience often teaches a painful lesson. Not everyone you give your heart to will value it. Some will take advantage of it. Some will see your kindness as weakness. Some will only keep you around because they know you will always say yes. And if you are not careful, your heart will become weary, not because you loved, but because you loved without wisdom. Being a wise steward of your heart means understanding that love and kindness must be given with discernment. It is not about closing yourself off from the world or becoming cold. It is about knowing who is worthy of your time, your energy, and your care. If you give your heart to people who constantly mistreat you, ignore you, or take advantage of you, you are not being kind. You are allowing yourself to be hurt. True wisdom is learning to recognize who deserves a place in your heart and who does not. There's a reason the Bible says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Proverbs 4:23. Your heart is the center of who you are. If you let the wrong people into it, they can shape your thoughts, your emotions, and even your future. They can drain you of your joy, steal your peace, and leave you questioning your own worth. This is why you must protect your heart like a treasure. You must learn to say no to people who only take from you without giving anything in return. You must learn to step away from relationships that leave you feeling empty instead of fulfilled. You must stop allowing guilt to keep you in places where you are not valued. Love is not about endless self-sacrifice. It is about giving where it makes a difference. A wise steward knows that their heart is not meant for everyone. Some people will respect it, cherish it, and nurture it. Others will neglect it, abuse it, and take it for granted. Your responsibility is to know the difference. Because when you become a wise steward of your heart, you will no longer feel exhausted, unappreciated, or used. Instead, you will feel fulfilled, at peace, and surrounded by people who truly value you. It is time to stop believing that kindness means giving endlessly, tolerating everything, and sacrificing yourself for people who do not value you. True kindness is not about pleasing everyone. It is about using wisdom. If you continue to give without discernment, you will find yourself drained, frustrated, and surrounded by people who take you for granted. You must understand that not everyone deserves your kindness, your energy, or your heart. Some people will only take without ever giving. Some will mistake your generosity for weakness. And some will never appreciate you, no matter how much you do for them. If you keep pouring into those who do not respect your value, you will lose yourself in the process. God himself sets boundaries. He does not bless those who reject him. He does not force his presence on those who do not want it. If God walks away from those who refuse to change, why do you feel guilty for doing the same? Love does not mean unlimited access. Kindness does not mean self-destruction. There's a time to give and there's a time to walk away. Starting today, become a wise steward of your heart. Protect your energy. Set boundaries without guilt. Recognize who deserves your kindness and who does not. When you learn to give with wisdom, you will no longer feel exhausted and unappreciated. Instead, you will experience peace, fulfillment, and the joy of being surrounded by people who truly value you.